Hello friends, wish you all a very happy Ramanavami. So long, I have been posting cases that are mostly done by conventional methods. From now on, the cases I am going to present are done by full digital protocol. Before that, I would like to enlighten you all with the basics of digital dentistry. Let's move on to the presentation. Digital dentistry is the use of dental technologies or devices that incorporates digital or computer control components to carry out dental procedures rather than using mechanical or electrical tools. Digital dentistry was started way back in 1973 by Dr. Francois Duret, who is also considered as father of digital dentistry. Certain terms that are commonly used in digital dentistry are CAD Cam, DICOM, STL, 3D printing, milling, sintering, implant scan bodies or the scan flags, and digital workflow. What is CAD Cam? CAD is computer aided design. That is, we design as processes with the help of a computer. CAM is computer aided manufacturing. We manufacture the designed processes with the help of a CAM software. DICOM, it is digital imaging and communication is in medicine. DICOM is most commonly used for storing and transmitting medical images. This is a this is a format how we get the CBCT from the CBCT centers. It helps us to integrate medical devices like scanners, printers, etc. It is also now widely adapted in hospitals and dental offices. STL, another important term that is the most that will be mostly used in digital dentistry. This is a format which is also it's called a stereolithography. It is a file format that is used in the CAD software. We design the processes and the file we what we get from the process is the STL file. It is also useful in it's in rapid prototyping, 3D printing, computer manufacturing, everything. STL files also describe the geometry of a three-dimensional object. 3D printing is a process by which materials are joined or solidified under computer control to create a three-dimensional object. It is also called additive manufacturing. Milling is a process of machining using rotary cutters to remove material. It can be done in several axes. CNC, that is the computer numerical control, is the most advanced one with automatic tool changing and tool magazines, coolant systems, and enclosures. What is digital workflow? It is the definition, execution, and automation of business process where tasks, information are passed on from one participant to another. That is, it is the repeatable set of steps performed in a sequential manner over time which enable people and systems to achieve the goal. There are three main stages in digital dentistry. First one is acquisition. That is, we are acquiring the data. We have to acquire the data. That is done by a scanner. Once the data is acquired, we have to design the processes. That is done by a designing software. Once this process is designed with the software, we have to go for manufacturing. That is done with the either by 3D printing, milling, or laser sintering. First phase is acquisition, that is, we have to acquire the data. How it is done? It is done with the scanners. There are two types of scanners basically, intraoral scanners and lab scanners. Intraoral scanners prove sense in digital dentistry as it is the most preferable choice for the clinicians. What we acquire with the intraoral scanner is called as the digital impression. There are a lot of intraoral scanners that are available in the market. The most popular among them are the Trios 3 by the 3 shapes. The Castrim has one. Medit is becoming very popular. Planmica, 3M, ITRO, and Omniscam by Sirona. Once we acquire the data with the scanner, next is we have to design the processes. The most popular designing software is Exocad, followed by 3 shapes and dental wings. Once the designing of the processes is completed, we have to go for manufacturing the processes. That is done by 3D printing by a 3D printer or milling by a milling machine. The milling machine is also known as a CNC machine. There are a lot of types of 3D printers that are available. The SLA printers, DLP printers, FDM, SLS, these are all a lot of types are there. But the most commonly used in dentistry right now is SLA and the DLP printers. A lot of options are available in the milling machines. Generally, it comes with the 3 axis, 4 axis, and 5 axis options. What are these axes? It is in what are the directions it can work. If it is 3 axis, it works on x, y, and z direction. 4 axis, it has a x, y, z, and one more direction is the a. 5 axis is x axis, y axis, z axis, a axis, and b axis. 5 axis is the most preferable type of milling machine and which is mainly used for milling implant processes. For general zirconia crown bridge processes, 4 axis milling machine is very much sufficient. 3 axis is no longer in use now. Again, there is one more segregation in the milling machine as dry milling and wet milling. Dry milling is used for zirconia milling and or PMA plastic milling like PMMA or wax milling. Wet milling is mainly used for milling titanium frames and in certain cases we can mill even Emax with a wet milling. Once the zirconia is milled, it will go through another process called sintering. It is heating the zirconia to a very high temperature of around 1600 degrees over a period of time. We can either do a fast sintering or a slow sintering. It is done in a specialized furnace called as a sintering furnace or a sintering oven. Where all we can use CAD cam? It is used in crown and bridge. Can use it in veneers, inlays, onlays. We can use it in smile designing, the digital smile designing cases. It is used in implant dentistry and also it can be used in orthodontics. Now I am going to show you the workflows for crown and bridge. First, we start the workflow for posterior crown and bridges. Once we acquire the data, that is, once we take the digital impression, we print 3D models. Then we take the digital impression to the CAD software where we design the crown. Then once the crown is designed, what we get the crown in a STL format and we take it to a milling machine where we mill the zirconia. Once milling of the zirconia is done, we sinter the zirconia, then finish it and glaze it. If we are going to use an Emax, that is a lithium disilicate, I prefer a wax milling. Then we press it and we glaze it. The tools that are required for a good digital impression or an intraoral scanner like Trios 3 We need a very good isolation, so we have to use either a cheek retractor or aptatam along with the suction. We need a very good gingival retraction. We can use either a laser or a retraction cord and or a retraction paste. My preferable way of doing is using a retraction paste. 3M has a very good one, and we need a very good illumination. What all the things we do with the digital impression? We take a upper scan, we take a lower scan, and we do a bite scan. It is joining the upper and lower scan. Once we are done with the digital impression, we import the scans to the designing software. Here we use the Exocad. We mark the margin. We select the what's the morphology of the tooth we want. We place the tooth the correct position. Then we finish the design and save it as an STL file. Once the designing is completed, we take that STL file to the CAM software. This CAM software also controls the milling machine. Then we do the nesting and select the material what we want to mill. Whether we want it in zirconia or wax or PMMA. We see how a zirconia crown is done. Once the design is completed, we import the design file to the CAM software like the Worknz or the Hyperdent. We do the nesting there, then we mill it in the zirconia blank. As we know, after milling, the zirconia is going to be weaker. We have to strengthen it by the process of sintering. Once the sintering is done, we have to glaze the crown and deliver it. For Neymax crown, the procedure is little different. Once the designing is done, we import the design file to the CAM software, we do the nesting and we do the milling in wax. After the milling is done, we invest it, preheat it, press it and glaze it and deliver the crown. I'm going to show a few crown bridge cases which are self-explanatory. Now we'll see the workflow for anterior cases. It is the same as posterior workflow, but what we need is a pre-preparatory scan. It is nothing but a study model. What we take, no impressions we take just before the treatment, and we call it as a study models, right? Same way we take a steady scan or a pre-preparatory scan. Now we'll see the digital workflow for implant cases. Before going to the digital workflow for implants, we should know something about implant scan body. They are the devices that are used to identify the exact position, angle, and height of the implant. They are placed directly on the implant or on the analog and is intended to identify the exact XYZ axis in the software, which specify the correct height, rotation, and angular situation. Intraoral and lab scan bodies are available. Full digital implant workflow starts with a cone beam CT, followed by a pre-preparatory intraoral scan. Then the CBCT and the scan are merged in a specialized software like the Implant Studio or the Exoplan to plan the exact position of the implant. Once the implant position is planned, it is transferred to a guide which is 3D printed. Then we do the surgery with the guide. We can use the guide for opening in the second stage. Once the second stage is done, then we take a digital impression with a scan body. Once the digital impression is done, we do the designing, milling, and deliver the processes. We'll see a full digital implant case. This is a case of missing 4/6. This is how the case was set up. It's a missing 4/6. Patient wants an implant, doesn't want an open surgery. CBCT was taken, accepted for guided surgery. Guide was prepared, and all was set for a guided surgery. This is what I was telling you. The interval scan and the CBCT scan is fused in a specialized software so that the exact implant position is planned in a three-dimensional way. Positioning the implant three-dimensionally. This is the design of the guide which will be printed. This is the 3D printed surgical guide. This is a digital impression showing the scan body as well as the emergence profile. We have to take digital impression of both the emergence profile as well as with the scan body. This is a final screw retained zirconia crown with the screw hole closed with flowable composite. This is a post-op IOPA showing a good implant position with no gap between the processes and the implant. We have come to the end of the presentation. Before concluding, I would like to show a small clipping. I'll set your screens on fire. I am sure we all would have seen this magnum opus by director Shankar. By using technology, he has put Tamil cinema on the global map. So, digital dentistry is going to be the dentistry of the future. Let us use technology for increased case acceptance, greater job satisfaction, and higher profits. Our mind is like a parachute, it works the best when it is opened up. As advised by our Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi ji, let us all embrace digital dentistry and build digital India. Jai Hind.